Hello, and welcome to this special Christmas episode of Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 17 of Ore Monogatari. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. So, I seem to recall that this episode was going to be called My Christmas, which presumably relates to Christmas being a romantic holiday, although I'm not sure what these delinquents have to do with anything other than, I guess the token conflict of the episode. They seem to have it in for Takeo, based off of rumors and all that. It's interesting that all these rumors really paint Takeo in a bad light when none of that's true. Although that bit about being 2 meters tall, that might be true. It's kind of hard to tell with Takeo, seeing as how, the scale of things seems to change kind of drastically, but, 2 meters probably isn't beyond the scope of things. Alright, so there's confirmation, it is a Christmas episode. So I guess the question is, how do those delinquents factor into what should otherwise be a romantic episode? Now, this is an interesting proposal. Yamato wants to spend it with the combined total of their friends. I was given to understand that Christmas is a romantic holiday in Japan, and therefore, something like this would be kind of, maybe not unusual, but not what I would expect, I guess. So I guess the question is, how does romance factor into this? Because obviously, all of the guys that Takeo knows, they're going to be happy about this, but, this is kind of like that episode early on whereby I guess Yamato's friends were sort of talking poorly about Takeo. Okay, so here's a little intrigue, One of Takeo's friends wants to ask out one of Yamato's friends, and he's using Takeo as an intermediary, which I guess from his position, that's probably about as good as an option as he's likely to have. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's an idea that's going to work. Ooh, okay. So now, this Nanoko girl is asking about, presumably, that same friend. Okay, so I'm thinking there's a little bit of intrigue here if Yamato and Takeo are essentially playing matchmaker. Alright, so that's confirmation, Kurihara, he's, asking for contact information and trying to hold her hand, but I guess the issue is that both of these people are sort of, not ambivalent, but unsure. And unfortunately, it's one of those situations where nobody's saying what they really mean. And, if one person took the plunge, everything would kind of work out. But, fortunately for them, they have Takeo and Yamato on their side. And, really, you couldn't ask for two nicer people to help you out, even if they aren't necessarily the best. I think a decent argument could be made that Makoto would help the two of them better. But, frankly, Makoto's been pulling far more than his own weight in, getting everything to work out, so, I think the guy deserves a break. Alright, so it seems like Superstition is once again, playing a factor here. If you can pluck the one star that's different off this gigantic Christmas tree, then, things will work out romantically. Naturally, Takeo doesn't need it, but, he is suitable almost perfectly to climb a tree, and I feel like, this is a bit of foreshadowing, he might climb the tree on behalf of someone else. So here we go, Yamato's asking, man, they're both just kind of talking past each other. They're both, I guess, thinking they're being cunning, asking on behalf of their own friend here. Yeah. Wow, they're really just asking all sorts of leading questions here, It almost reminds me of a farce, me being an outside observer. I know the rationale behind all these questions, but neither of them seems to understand. I mean, at the very least, they seem to be on the same page of helping their respective friends and giving them the opportunity. But I feel like they don't entirely know what's going on. It's not that it's a bad thing by any means, but yeah, this is interesting in that it seems like the romance for once is focusing on a different couple. And they're not, strictly speaking, a couple yet, but God willing, they will be. I think that's another not too subtle hint that, hey, look, we have a nice view of this Christmas tree. And now Yamato's bringing up that whole business about plucking off the star. So unfortunately, Kurihara, he's kind of torpedoed himself by saying, wow, that's too high, I could never do that. Rather unfortunate, I guess. You don't have to score a goal against yourself. I mean, I guess this is a situation where everybody's kind of oblivious. Yeah, I feel like this is really just kind of capturing real life pretty well in that everybody, I feel like people have blind spots in regards to their own situation, but they know exactly what to do for other people, given their situation. I'm wondering why that is, because that seems to be maybe not a pattern, but something that just kind of happens. And that's kind of an interesting thing. Oh, okay. See, I thought she was going to be impressed that he ate spicy food, but no, it's an indirect kiss and that whole thing. Personally, I think that kind of thing's a bit overblown, you know? I think too many people make a big deal out of something that really isn't that substantial, but I guess seeing as how they haven't kissed, it would kind of be more meaningful to them. I do find it interesting that Takeo is thinking to himself, you know, why isn't Kurihara asking her out? He has the chance. I mean, to some degree, I'd imagine that the hesitancy is due to having a big crowd around. You know, I wouldn't want to put myself out there in front of a crowd like that. Alright. So Kurihara's finally doing something, you know. He's been kind of, flippant, I guess. But, okay. Man, he had the opportunity to say something and he didn't. I feel like now more than ever before, this is the time for decisive action. I mean, she's even asking the question, and frankly, that's a question I would dread. And I guess worst of all, he answered it probably in the worst way possible. Man, you know, this whole get-together really was Kurihara's game to lose, and he's doing an admirable job of tripping at the finish line. I mean, I can't say I blame the guy entirely. He does seem just kind of terminally shy. Now, this is another interesting thing that everybody's doing a bit of a secret Santa. Of course, they've also sort of, you know, fixed things. Alright, so, you know, that enthusiasm, that's something. I feel like Kurihara could, you know, maybe address her directly. Oh dear. Yeah, so I'm wondering how things turn around from here. Like, surely it's gotta be some business with the tree. Oh, that's cheeky, I think. They're, sounds like they're singing the opening music. And I guess it's interesting that Kurihara's, getting Nanako to sing along. You know, this is something I rather enjoy, where the opening music or something is, I guess, something that exists in universe, you know? I guess it saves them from having to pick a new song, so, you know, it might be a cost-saving thing, you know, you don't need to acquire rights or anything, but, I don't know, I like it. Oh dear. Yeah, you know, I think those lyrics are rather meaningful about give me an answer and blah blah blah. I feel like Kurihara has really screwed the pooch here. Hopefully he'll be able to salvage it, but things really aren't looking good. I mean, again, I'm hoping things will work out, you know. I'm choosing to be optimistic. Okay, so this is what happens. These are the punks from before, I'm pretty sure. This is Kurihara's golden opportunity, you know. His natural impulse is probably to get Takeo. Because, you know, why not? But, at the same time, he had the opportunity to really act decisively. Yeah, I guess unfortunately he didn't really ingratiate himself to her. You know, from her perspective, I can kind of understand. You know, Kurihara's not exactly an active participant in his own life. You know, he does seem really passive. I feel like the only way to really change things here is to just, you know, grab the bull by the horns and act decisively. And I feel like that's going to be a really big hurdle for him to overcome, the poor guy. And I guess the worst part about all this is that, you know, they might be learning the wrong lesson here. You know, things don't seem to be working out for Nanako and Kurihara, but I don't think that learning the lesson that, you know, they shouldn't have interfered. And, you know, interfering is kind of a strong word, I think. They were definitely trying to help. I don't think abstaining from helping in the future is the right approach here. You know, maybe they could have been a bit more tactful in how they did things, but I don't know. Like, learning not to try is never the right lesson to learn from failure, you know? Now, you know, Kurihara had, I guess, laudable motives, you know, taking everyone's safety into account. But I feel like even if he had intervened and gotten stomped out, I feel like that would have won him more points in the long run. Alright. Take's talking sense. You know, yeah, you might have gotten curb stomped 3-on-1. But, you know, it would have been impressive if nothing else. You know, I'm hoping Takeo sort of yelling at him and picking him up by his collar is the kick in the pants he needed. Oh. Okay, here we go. You know, I'm glad that this whole tree climbing thing came to fruition, but that it's Kurihara trying to climb the tree. You know, he mentioned that, you know, it's way too tall, he would never do that, but clearly he now wants to make it clear that he values Nanako over his personal safety. 'Cause I mean, like, this is a big tree, and there's no net. Speaking from personal experience, you know, I really don't like heights. I would not do this. So I guess, from that perspective, Godspeed, Kurihara. Hope things work out, man. Now, he did manage to grab the star, but I guess the hard part from here on out is, climbing back down. Man, he really is lucky to have Takeo as a friend, because, geez, I'd imagine a fall like that, unbroken, would be, decidedly fatal. Alright, here you go. You know, how can you say no to something like that? And I guess it's nice that everybody's being honest too, you know. Kurihara's a pushover, Nanako has trouble being honest with her feelings, and she doesn't have any of the other virtues Yamato displays, but, together they can make it. And, I guess it's nice, too, that both Takeo and Yamato are vindicated, They weren't just mindlessly interfering and causing trouble. They were doing what they thought was right, and they were, in fact, correct. So I guess the question now is, does Kurihara learn from all this and maintain his character growth? I certainly hope so, but there's definitely a tendency to revert back to the status quo. I'm definitely hoping that this lasts. Alright. So it seems like they're both very lovey-dovey. I can see how their respective groups of friends would find that annoying, but wow, that's something else. They're calling each other by their first names pretty quickly. Wow. Yeah, they're moving fast, alright. Poor Yamato. Oh dear. Yeah, well, each relationship has to move at its own pace. You can't judge yourself by other people. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. Merry Christmas, Space Cowboy.